Get ready. It's time for the Idaho Podcast with your host, Danny Ventura. Welcome to the Idaho Podcast, where we feature the people who live, work, and play in Idaho. Thanks so much for being with us today. My guest is Michael DeMange, and Michael is an implementer of the Entrepreneurial Operating System, otherwise known as EOS. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Oh, thank you, Dan.
You bet. You moved to Idaho from Northern California in 2022, and we always start with your Idaho story. That's what the Idaho Podcast is all about. So what brought you here, and what's keeping you here?
Yeah. Really, it was a new beginning. It just was a chance. I was at that point in my life where things were kind of stagnating. My wife and I, we had good careers. We had a great family, but we were just kind of hitting that wall. We were those people that we were making really good money, but everything going into the house, going into retirement, and we still felt like we're living paycheck to paycheck, And so during COVID, we just really were able to just say, hey, let's take a step back and see where we should be at this point in our life, and gave us the courage to make the leap to Idaho. We looked at a lot of places around the West, but we know we really love the West. Mm-hmm. There's something about the bright blue skies that most of the Western states have,
for sure.
Sunshine, and we got out here and just absolutely loved it. The open space, the slower pace of life, just everything about it was exactly what we needed right at this point in our life.
So did you come out and visit first, or was it just sight unseen? You bought a house or something?
Yeah, I guess I can say this now that my kids are graduated. The kids were in stay-at-home school, right? During COVID.
Oh, right.
Well, you can do stay-at-home school from a hotel in Idaho. So they did stay-at-home school while we went and checked out the Treasure Valley back in 2020. We just fell in love with it, and we knew this was the right place. And it was good. We brought the kids. We took them around that evening and drove them around the neighborhoods. We were in Eagle. They're like, wait, we could live here for like a third of the price of where we live now. Why do we live where we live now?
Right.
And so so we all kind of had the kids thumbs up already. One was going to start going to college anyway. Our other daughter, then we found Eagle High School here locally, which was just an incredible high school.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of exactly what she needed at this point in her life. They had an incredible music program. Give a shout out to TJ Erickson there. Just really gets the kids inspired. He has a sign inside of his music room. Having fun is good, but being good is more fun. And just kind of the atmosphere there is out here. It's not super high pressure. It was the one thing. In California, everything just seems like there's just pressure to be the absolute best at absolutely everything you're doing. And here, it's a little more laid back. Be who you are.
Yeah, we've loved it here as well. And when you came here, did you give up on your careers? Did you start all over, or were you able to remain working with the companies you were working for?
Yeah. Both of us tried to do the remote work. Mm-hmm. And my wife, she's still been able to do remote work, and it's worked out great for her. I did that for another, 8 months, and then I just really decided part of my new journey was I wanted to leave the corporate world. Mm-hmm. And it really gave me a chance to do that. We had a little bit of cushion financially, and our kids are getting to that age; they're about ready to leave the house. So it was a good time for me to really focus on doing something more independently with my career.
That's awesome. You had reached out to me, and I'm still touched by this, and you shared with me that you were really impacted by my why, the quote unquote my why in life, what I shared on the original trailer of this podcast, actually. And again, I was still touched by that, and I love that it impacted you. Not so much my why that impacted you, but the fact that I described it as a why, I think. Yeah. But would you mind explaining how that affected you and how it kind of transformed your life approach?
Yeah, it made me really look kind of deep, when you're trying to figure out your why, and you had me reread Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. So I read that on the plane, and I really spent a lot of time thinking about that. And, with what I'm doing now, we'll get into EOS later, but one of the big focuses of EOS is having a healthy company. So having a healthy company, having a healthy life, that's part of success. So, and I think I told you during our story, My father, when he turned about 50, he was right around when he was 50. He came to me and told me, he's like, I think I'm only going to be around for around 10 years or so. I need you to make sure you promise me to take care of your mom and sister. I'm like 20 years old here. What's going on? You're telling me you're not going to, but he had let his health go. Like a lot of people, for many, many years, he put his career ahead of health. He always had his career and family, really, really high on his priorities, and had left health down below. He waited too long, and it kind of got out of hand for him. So, it was something I learned then from a book by Scott Adams.
Mhm.
He tells you got to really prioritize, your health, business, and family. What's most important to you? And I realized, gosh, I was turning 50. I was doing the same things my dad had done. Too much time at work, too much time ignoring my health. I was still making sure we had a strong family, but I was ignoring my health. I started having the same health issues he had.
Oh, wow.
And so something just clicked in me, and I'm like, I got to stop. I got to stop doing this.
Mhm.
And again, part of that's now moving to Idaho. That James Clear book, Atomic Habits.
Right.
One of his big things is, if you want big change, first you do it incrementally, but sometimes you got to change your environment. Changing your environment can help make it easier. So it really has been, coming up here, having a fresh start, and just a beautiful area like this is. It's helped me focus more on my health again. I lost 30 pounds last year.
Wow. That's
Just
great.
reducing stress and taking that time in my life to focus on health versus career for a little while.
Mhm. Good for you. That is admirable that you were able to have that reflection, personal reflection, to be able to say, I can't follow that same path. I have to make change, and
Yeah,
I have to
well,
discover what my why is and what's important.
yeah, and patterns, right? We have
Mhm.
patterns inside of us, and I
Mhm.
think my pattern internally, I was starting to think I'm gonna have to have this conversation with my kids in a couple years, because that's what you do at that age.
Right.
I'm like, well, wait a second, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I can fix this. So I haven't had that conversation yet with my kids, and hope I don't need to for a long time.
Well, me too, for your sake. But no, and thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. And you mentioned the two books that you actually told me absolutely changed your life, and
Mhm.
James Clear's Atomic Habits, and then of course Scott Adams' How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. When you told me that these two books changed my life, you hear that and you go, "Wow, that is a strong statement." How did it change your life?
Yeah. Well, like I said, with Scott Adams, his big thing is systems over goals, right? He said, so many people focus on just setting a goal and hoping they get there. And if they don't get there, they get frustrated. So he really has you focus on setting systems to reach those goals. And the other big thing I got from that book again was look at yourself, say what's most important. Is it family? Is it health, or is it your career? It just really hit me when he said that. There was a part in his book too. He said, let's say it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're supposed to go exercise, because this is kind of what you're supposed to go do this, but you have all this work that you have to get done. You've got to get a little bit more done before tomorrow. I always sat there and did more work, and I don't know why. I felt like I was going to be more accomplished, but I was ignoring my health. He's like 10 out of 10 times. Here's the answer: go do the thing that's best for your health. That's going to help you long term. So. So that was big, and then James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. It means so many different things. I guess the big thing I took was just getting 1% better at something every day. It's something it's like 300 to get you like 350 times better in a year. You can just make 1% progress on something every day. So yeah, I just decided over the last couple of years, there's a few things I'm going to get 1% better at every day,
Mm.
and just stacked a few of those habits there. And yeah, those two books, I've reread them 3 times since 2020, and just so excited when I look back and see the progress I've made by implementing some things from some really smart people.
Two great books too, and thanks
Yeah,
for sharing that.
yeah,
That's fantastic. You are currently an implementer for the Entrepreneurial Operating System,
yep.
which is also known as EOS. And at a high level, you help entrepreneurs get what they want from their businesses by providing essentially a complete system, with a proven set of simple tools that help them with three primary words, and those three words are vision, traction, and healthy. So most business leaders, I mean, I've owned multiple businesses. You have been in business. Most business leaders face similar problems, right? It's always the personnel conflict. It's profit woes. It's inadequate growth, right? That's what most business entrepreneurs face on a almost a daily basis.
Yeah.
So those three words, vision, traction, and healthy, how do they apply to the system? And I'd like you to elaborate on why they're so important to the foundation of the system.
Okay. Yeah. Well, vision is, vision's really, it's making sure everyone in the company, has a clear vision for where the company is going and how it's going to get there. It's amazing how many companies don't have that, or they did have that, but it's gone away. You ask 30 people in the company, you know, what are we trying to do? Where are we trying to go? You're going to get 40 different answers. So just it's so important. It sounds simple. Everyone thinks they have a vision. They might have a vision statement. They might have a mission statement, but do people really live that every day? And is it really accurate as to, is this what the people that come to work, is this what they do on a daily basis? So we really focus on that. Traction then is making sure there's a system of responsibility and accountability. Really just holding each other accountable. Unfortunately, so many times I've worked in companies, and you're like, well, we hire good people, we hire responsible people. We're sure they're doing the right thing. And if you don't have a simple system that just makes sure that you are, just some checks and balances, I'm amazed at how many companies don't. Most very large companies do. Most small companies are really in chaos because they're afraid to hold people accountable, or they're afraid to ask, did you do this?
Yep.
And sometimes you just have to check things off. And so that's really what traction's all about. And then healthy is, again, that's the thing that's most important to me. I want to see healthy companies. I get so frustrated when I go and walk into a company and people are just staring at the clock on the wall, or they're just scrolling through their phones. There's no interaction. I mean, I can't believe how many businesses are like that. Or even ones that are performing well. Just, are the people healthy? Are they happy? Do they enjoy working with each other? Are there maybe some people there that contribute really well, but kind of destroy the culture of the company? So just helping make sure that you have a healthy, cohesive group of people enjoy working together. That's what we focus on with healthy.
Mm-hmm. And that's great. Those three words are very impactful, and I think they have deep meaning. And I think if business owners really embrace those three, the idea of vision and making sure you have traction and make sure your company, not only your company can't be healthy unless your people are healthy. And so it has to be, the culture is kind of a revolving door, right?
Yep.
So important. And EOS is based on this book, Traction, here by Gino Wickman. And I know the main principles of the book are, the book is basically a model. And the best illustration for the listeners, especially as you're just listening to this and not watching it, is essentially the business is at the center of this pie. And you have 6 pieces of pie around the center, and the business is, of course, the core and the center of the pie. But each of these 6 key components must be managed by the business leader or the owner or the entrepreneur. And those 6 components are vision, people, data, issues, process, and traction. Now, we did talk about vision and traction and healthy, but I'd love to have you explain a little bit more about why those components are so intrinsic in the success of the program.
Okay.
Or the system, I should say.
Okay. You can also go to my website, www.eosworldwide.com/Michael-DeMange.
And we'll put that up on the screen.
But if you want to follow the model at home, it is on my website there.
Sure.
But yeah, so it's really about strengthening the 6 key components of a business. And I know you had said through your career, you had your 6 key components that you strengthened, which were very similar, to what we work on. So the first big component is vision. Making sure everyone in the company knows where you're going and how you're going to get there. If it's not in their head, a picture of exactly where you're going to be, chances of you getting there are not high. Then we stressed, having the right people in the right seats. This is really based on kind of Jim Collins' work and
Good to great.
from good to great. Um, you have to have the right seats defined. You have to know exactly what structure do you need, and then make sure you have the right people in that structure. It sounds simple when you look at it, but there's so many companies out there that when they step back and take a look at their organization, they say, "Geez, this person's not really doing what we need them to do.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing what's good for them, but maybe what's good for them would be to be in a different role here, or maybe not here." It's making some hard decisions. It's taking a big step back and looking at your organization and saying, what exactly do we need to get to the next level we want to get to? Data is making sure you're making data driven decisions. Again, I saw throughout my career just so many times people would just make big decisions based on instinct or majority vote in a room with no numbers. Oftentimes, it's the vocal minority, and I'm an engineer, so I like data. So it's hard for me in a meeting like that if you have an aggressive person that wants to make non-data decisions on emotion, and you have no data, you can't fight back.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't always do what's best for the company. So we find once you have your vision defined, you have the right people, they're in the right seats, you're collecting data, then you have a more transparent company, right? Well, once you have transparency, then issues arise. So
Mm-hmm.
so that's when we get into issues, but issues are really opportunities at this point. Once everyone's being open and honest, and we say, hey, look, these are the things we need to get out. So just making sure you have a comprehensive list of what your issues are, how you're going to solve them, and then a system to solve those issues instead of just letting those same issues linger. And again, I've been in companies where same issue will linger for literally decades.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no process to address it. That's how we get strong in the issues component. Process, and just making sure you have your key processes defined. This is just a way to have scalability and be more efficient in your company. And then the big one, traction, which the title of Gino's book, even the companies that have all of those other things, if you're not doing this on a daily basis, if you don't have a system of accountability set up to gain traction, every day, those things just don't get done. So we help companies set up quarterly rocks, which is again, it's a Stephen Covey concept of rocks, and basically the biggest things that you need to do in the next 90 days to help get your company to the next level. So you get your leadership team to agree on what are the biggest 3 to 7 things that they can do as a company, and then 3 to 7 things for each leader. And then you come back a quarter later and see if you're able to accomplish all those things and set new rocks for the next quarter. And then we also set up a meeting pulse of what we call level 10 meetings. Basically just a very structured agenda for a meeting that we've tried many different agendas, and we've just we found that this is the most effective and efficient way to run meetings.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's coincidence that those 2 books you read in 2020 that changed your life literally are so much of the components in that book are very similar to strategies and philosophies of the EOS system.
Yeah.
And it makes total perfect sense to me that where you crossed that crossroad of figuring out what your why was, and then inverting, making healthy on top, then family, then work, and then that's what you're helping other businesses do, but helping them with a really comprehensive system that allows them to focus and hold folks accountable towards health, success, and ongoing development of their people. And again, to your point, to make sure everybody's healthy. So that is remarkable that's you've been on this journey really for many years now. So how are you enjoying being an implementer? And I'm sure it can be transformational when you're such a big piece of conduit for some of these businesses that you help with success.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just incredible. The feeling I get helping them just get unstuck, get out of their own way. Again, there's nothing revolutionary in the EOS system, but he took the best of everything out there and created this system. And it's just nice knowing there's over 200,000 companies out there using the traction principles, and 20,000 of them work with people like myself, implementers. Basically, I'm a personal trainer, for your business,
Right.
which feels really good. Just to know that it's all in one structure, one structured system. It's just a very efficient way to help companies get to the next level.
Yeah. How do you feel living your why?
Oh, I mean, it feels great. Like I said, just helping companies get healthier. It's so rewarding to see that.
Yeah. And I do recommend it often, and I've even shared it on this podcast before. But if you haven't read Start With Why by Simon Sinek, I would begin there, just because it redefines really how we approach life, not just business, but how we approach life. Because so much in life we've been patterned to believe this is what we do and this is how we do it, and we never talk about why we do it. And it's so important to start with the why. Why do we get out of bed every morning? Once you figure out the why, boy, the passion just comes through, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So if folks wanted to reach you, I know we shared the website and we'll share it again, but your email is michael.demange at eosworldwide.com.
Yes.
So they can also email you directly, but we'll also put the website up there. So, we like to end the show with the tip of the show, because tip is the acronym for the Idaho podcast. So what would be your tip for our listeners, Michael?
Yeah. I guess it's just get the balance right. For me, through this journey, really, like I said, the last 4 to 5 years, just for me, that balance, I guess I've defining it as that balance between, health, family, and profession. And, at some points in your life, you have to focus more on one than the other. And that's okay. But, sometimes you just take that step back and realize, do you have that balance? And is something, one of those 3 things needs some work. If so, focus on that for a while and then reevaluate.
Find the balance. That's good stuff. Really appreciate you being on the show today, and really appreciate you and your friendship and sharing your story. I also just have to tell you that I'm just really am humbled that you shared that whole story about your why, and just appreciate you sharing that with me. And I'm so glad that you found your why, and just wish you nothing but the best. And as you help other entrepreneurs with finding their why as well. So thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it. And thank you for joining the Idaho podcast. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Take care.